Hi students, let us start with our new chapter, probability. What is the meaning of probability? So, consciously or unconsciously, all of us sometimes use the phrases like most likely, almost uncertain, most probably, no chance at all, etc. Right? So, if we read these phrases carefully, we'll find that all of them involves an element of uncertainty. That means something which you're not completely sure of. That is, the measure of uncertainty is called as the theory of probability. Okay, so something like you can tell a few words like okay, it may rain, likely there are chances. So all these are called as probability. So you have learned about probability in your smaller classes, that is near 8th standard and all. You have learned about this topic, so you have an idea about probability. So let us do few more problems based on probability. Okay, so we'll get a clear idea on probability. Okay, so we have some terms and concept in probability. The first one is experiment. So if you take your textbook, page number 379, in your textbook, so you can see the definition. What is experiment? I'll be just explaining the terms. Okay, so you can go through the definition from your textbook. A process which results in some well-defined outcomes is known as an experiment. Process which results in some well-defined outcome is known as experiment. For example, when a coin is tossed, we shall be getting either head or tail, right? That is, outcome is head or tail, which is well-defined. So if you toss a coin, you are sure that you may get one of this outcome, right? So that is called as well-defined. When dice is thrown, what are the possibilities? You will get 6 possibilities, right? Either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. These are well defined. You cannot tell that when I toss a dice I will get 7, right? That's what. Now coming to the second term, that is random experiment. Random experiment. Random experiment means all the outcomes of the experiments are known in advance, but any specific outcome of the experiment is not known in advance. For example, tossing a coin is a random experiment because there are only 2 possible outcomes. You know the outcomes are head and tail, but these outcomes are not well in advance, right? But the specific outcome of the experiment, that is whether head or tail you will be getting, will not be known in advance. Understood? So, random experiment means you know that when you toss a coin you will get either head or tail, but you are not sure that whether you are going to get a head or tail in advance. So this is called as a random experiment. So similar case will happen in case of throwing a dice also. Okay. Now coming to the third term, that is sample space. So what is a sample space? Set of all possible outcomes of an experiment is called as a sample space. Set of all possible outcomes of an experiment is called as a sample space, and it's in general denoted by S. Okay, so which are the possible outcomes we get? That's called as the sample space. So for example, when we toss a coin, we get either head or tail, so it's called as a sample space, HT. When it is a dice, so you can write the sample space for coin as H or T, right? So you will mention it like this. In case of dice, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Okay. Now coming to the fourth one, equally likely outcomes. Equally likely outcomes. In case of tossing a coin, it is known in advance that coin will land with head or tail up. It is reasonably assumed that each outcome, a head or tail, is likely to occur at the other. In other words, we say that there are equal chances for the coin to land with head or tail up, right? Chances are equal. So that is called equally likely outcomes. In case of throwing a dice, it is known that in advance the dice will show the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 in upper. It can reasonably, so again equally likely outcome, here also it's possible. That's called as equally likely outcome. Okay. Now coming to the next one, and event. An event. What is an event? An outcome of a random experiment is called an event. In other words, an event is something that happens. Okay. So on tossing a coin, the possible outcome is head or tail. Here getting a head or tail is an event because possibly it is going to happen. That is called as the event. So now coming to the measurement of probability. The probability of an event denotes likelihood of its happening. Okay. So if in a random experiment the total number of events or outcomes are n, out of which m events are favorable to the particular event E, then probability of happening of the event is denoted by, so mainly probability of happening of event is denoted by P of E and is equal to m by n. What is m here? M is considered as number of events favorable to E and n is the total number of all positive outcomes. Number of events favorable, and next n is the total number of events. Okay, so if the dice is rolled once, an even number is required on the upper face on it, then in the experiment you know that there are 6 numbers in the dice. How many even numbers? 2, 4 and 6 are the even numbers. So what is the probability of getting an even number? So total outcomes will be 6, right? You know that. So how many even numbers are possible? 3. So it is probability of getting the even will be 3 by 6, that is equal to 1 by 2. This is how we solve. Okay. So solution is actually very easy. We'll see that. Now we have two methods, that is empirical probability. What is a empirical probability? When the probability is based on a actual experiment, it is called as empirical probability. Okay. And for example, like a coin is tossed 100 times and outcome of its experiments are 57 heads, and it's in your page number 382 in your textbook with the example they have given. 57 heads means 43 tails. So probability of head will be 57 by 100 and that of tail is 43 by 100. Since these probabilities are based on the actual experiment of tossing a coin 100 times, they are experimental or empirical probability. Okay. Now coming to the classical probability. So two types of probability. One is empirical or experimental. Second one is classical or theoretical. Okay. So when repetition of an experiment. So here we will be doing most of the problems based on classical probability because we are not going to repeat the experiment. We are avoiding the repetition of the experiment and we are calculating the exact probability. Okay. So few more things let me explain you in this chapter mostly. So we'll be dealing with the theoretical or classical probability. Okay. Then okay. So let us go through few more notes on this. Impossible event or sure event. If the probability of an event is equal to 0, then the event is called impossible event. So if I tell the probability of an event is equal to 0, then it's an impossible event. Then it's an impossible event. Okay. So next one is a sure event. What's the meaning of a sure event? If the probability of event is 1, probability is 1 means it is a sure event. Probability of any event can never be less than 0 or more than 1. So probability will be always in between 0 and P of E and 1. Okay, it will be between 0 and 1. So what's the meaning of impossible event? I'll just give an example. I'm telling that if I throw a dice and I should get the what's the probability of getting 7? So it is 0. Possibility of getting 7 is 0, right? 0 by 6 is 0. That is a impossible event. Okay. So this is how you represent the impossible event and sure event. Hope it's clear to you. Okay. Then one more thing you have, so always probability of happening of an event and not happening of event will be, if I consider an event as E and not E, not happening of an event will be E to the power of, that is complementary. So P of E plus P of E dash or E complementary, they are complementary. P of E and P of E dash are complementary events. So P of E plus P of not E, that is this, will be equal to 1 always. So if I need to find P of E, it will be like 1 minus P of E dash, and similar way P of E dash will be equal to 1 minus P of E. Okay, hope the concepts are clear to you. So now let me do few questions from exercise 25a. Let me do the first question and see. A coin is tossed once. Find the probability of getting a tail. So you know what is the number of possible outcomes? Either should be head or tail. Total number of possible outcomes is either head or tail, that is 2, right? So probability of getting a tail, that is first one. P of E will be equal to, probability of getting a tail will be 1 by 2. Similarly, second sub question, not getting a tail. If you are not getting a tail, what is the condition? Probability of getting a head. Again, P of E will be equal to 1 by 2. Okay, it's very simple. Solving problems from this is very simple. Coming to the second question. A bag contains 3 white balls, 5 black. So, 3 white balls, 5 black balls, 2 red balls, all of this of same size and shape. A ball is drawn from the bag without looking into it. Okay, so find the probability of that ball drawn as a black ball. So first let me find out the total balls. So it is 5 plus 3, 8 plus 2 is 10. So totally there are 10 balls. So 10 possibilities are there, right? So first condition, a black ball. Probability of getting a black ball. You can write it like this also. A black ball. Probability of getting a black ball is, how many black balls are there? 5. So total number of balls 5 by 10. So your answer will be 1 by 2. You need to always write it in the simplest form. Okay. Now second sub question, probability of getting a red ball. How many red balls are there? 2. So it is 2 by 10. That is equal to 1 by 5. Third sub question, probability of getting a white ball. Probability of getting a white ball. How many white balls are there? 3. So it is 3 by 10. You cannot further divide it. So leave it as 3 by 10. Fourth sub question, not a red ball. Probably not a red ball. So look at the question. If it's not a red ball, it should be either black or white. So totally how many black and white balls are there? 8. Correct. 3 plus 5 is 8. So you'll write 8 by 10. I can further divide it. So I'll get this 4 by 5. Similarly, next one is fifth one. P, not a black ball. So if it's not a black ball, it can either be white ball or red ball. So how many white balls are there? 3. How many red balls are there? 2. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So again I'll write 5 by 10, that is equal to 1 by 2. So this is how you will be solving. So solution of these problems are very easy, and mostly you will have questions based on coin problems and dice. In this chapter you don't have to worry about the card problems. You can see in this exercise there are many questions based on card problems, playing cards. So you don't have to worry about that. You will be learning only on coin and ball, all that things. So the card problems can be avoided. Okay. Thank you, students.